Last week we learned there's a further billion-dollar hole in the government's finances, and both Prime Minister John Key and Finance Minister Bill English are talking a near-zero budget next month with no new spending. Labour's David Parker and the ACT leader John Banks, not surprisingly, have quite different solutions, so we are with them both this morning. A $1 billion hole, Mr Parker, you say. You believe the government has failed. In your statement you said a zero budget is what you get when you fail. That's a bit unreasonable, isn't it?
No. Look, in hard times, governments have to be frugal, but they do have choices. And National's made the wrong choices, and that's why they keep failing to meet even their own predictions.
What choices were wrong?
Well, take some spending choices that I would do differently. They've spent $9 million on consultants for adjustments.
$9 million? We're talking $1 billion.
They've spent $120 million on consultants and lawyers for the sale of SOEs. That doesn't grow the economy. They're spending $2 billion on a highway to Puhoi. That's nice to have, but it shouldn't be a priority at the moment. We would have different priorities.
See, I was mentioning that to the panel, you know, that when I looked at all the businesses growing where kids are trying to apply for jobs and get jobs, they're all supermarkets. Well, that's real productive for an economy, isn't it? The government has failed. Balancing the books is one thing, Mr Banks, but actually turning the economy around is something else, isn't it?
Well, there's nothing wrong with being a supermarket checkout operator in Manurewa.
I'm not knocking the people who work in those businesses, but as businesses...
But let me tell you the problem. The problem is for the 19-year-old supermarket operator in Manurewa, he is subsidising the free student loan for the merchant banker, New Zealand graduate, working in London and earning 100,000 quid a year. That's called middle-class welfare. There's far too much middle-class welfare. We've got to cut our cloth. The government this week announced that they're going to have a spending cap. Bill English is making a very good fist of bringing this budget together. These are tough economic times, and we need to have some tough decisions taken, like less government expenditure, getting government out of our pockets and off our backs.
Yeah, let's stay on the old deficit. Middle-class welfare, what do you mean by that?
Well, middle-class welfare, I mean free interest loans for students.
No, I got you on that, but cheap going to the doctor, cheap prescriptions, that kind of thing.
Well, why should I go to the doctor and have a subsidised prescription and a subsidised visit? Why should I, as
because
a New Zealander...
for damn years you've worked hard and paid your taxes.
But we simply can't afford it. Why don't they say to someone like me at 65, instead of taking a national superannuation that I don't take because at 65 you can get it, why don't they say, we'll give it to you at 70 and you can get a little bit more? It's crazy stuff.
The deficit is bigger because the economy's not growing, because the government's not taking...
Well, also, David, it's not growing because the lower overseas prices, you know, the markets have softened here, revenues are down.
We've actually had record terms of trade for the last 3 years, and we're not growing as we ought. Look, governments do have choices. We've said that New Zealand should be investing in research and development, in education, in science, in more savings, so as to have more exports.
I know you have said that, but that doesn't help a $1 billion deficit, which is right down
this is the problem we have.
No, look, that deficit will be overcome within 3 years, whether we're there or they're there. Last year it was 13 billion. This year it'll be about 9 billion. The following year it'll be about 5, and that'll be gone.
And you reckon yourself, didn't you say to my producer the other day, Monkey could get that books balanced by 2014?
The government's own projection...
So if you were going to do that, if you would have done that as well, then you'd have no extra spending either, would you?
We would prioritise our spending. Look, we're not saying spend more and borrow more. We're saying the priorities are wrong. Look, selling our assets, selling land, that's central to the government's agenda. We say we should be investing in science, research and development, savings, more exports. That's the way to grow.
Mr Parker, hang on, I've got to move on. Mr Parker, I would ask you just to sit there for a little while, because Mr Banks, other matters have reared their head over the last couple of days. And David Shearer, the Labour leader, is demanding of the Prime Minister that he stand you down over the Kim.com donation affair. Shouldn't he? Or shouldn't you stand yourself down?
This is the problem. It's a sideshow. It's mostly a media beat-up, and much of it is humbug.
No, damn it, it's about the law, Mr Banks.
Yes. Well, have a look at the 2001 Act, and you'll see what a professor of law said this morning in the Sunday Herald. Yesterday, the media had me going to jail. Today, they're saying I'm likely to be in the clear. That is the problem. Last week, I was the sideshow. Next week, Mr Shearer will be the sideshow, because Mr Shearer is going to be rolled in the next couple of weeks.
Well, can I just have a look at some of what's emerged? You were up at Kim.com's, and did you know he was giving you the money? Did you know he was writing out a cheque or getting his man to write out a cheque?
We're here to talk about investment, growth and jobs.
Sorry,
let me answer that
Mr.
question.
Banks,
Let me answer your question. All this has been narrated mainly on the front page of the local newspaper here and across the media.
I'm giving you a chance to debate it with
Well, let me give you a chance.
Us here. So answer the question. Were you there when the cheques came out? Did you know he was giving you the money?
I don't...
Did he mention 50,000?
Why don't you?
Were you there when they started writing a cheque? Did you ask it to be 2 cheques because you could make it anonymous? And if you were there and you declared that donation anonymous, you're dead meat, aren't you?
I think you
Because
think
that was illegal.
I think you think I came up the river on a cabbage boat. I can tell you that when I signed my declaration for the mayoralty, I signed it in good faith, in the knowledge, as a justice of the peace, as true and correct. I have nothing to fear and nothing to hide, and I welcome the inquiry, and everything will come out in the wash, Mr. Holmes. I'm more invested in the real issues of investment, growth and jobs, and providing working opportunities for 80,000 of our kids that are out of school
But
and
are
out
you
of luck.
saying, because it is illegal, you know, don't you, that if you know where a donation came from, to claim it was anonymous. So is what Mr. .com is saying about your eyes perked up, he said your eyes went big at the mention of 50 grand. And so the fellow gets the chequebook out and you're sitting there and he writes a cheque. I mean, are you saying that he's lying? Because that's what he's saying.
Oh, I don't know why you're going on about this. I have nothing to hide.
Is he
And
lying?
it's a media beat-up. Yesterday I was going to jail. Today I'm going to be cleared. I mean, that's not what the media get up to. And you're beating it up again. Look, we've got an inquiry.
Mr. Banks.
I'm very happy to have the inquiry.
Did you know Kim.com had written you 2 cheques for 50 grand, and did you therefore put them in your return as 2 lots of 25 anonymous? Yes or no?
I signed my return honestly. I have nothing to hide and nothing to fear,
Did you
and
know
it will all
.com was throwing
come
50 grand at
out in the wash. And I want to talk this morning about our competition with Australia for investment and jobs, and getting the government off our backs and out of our pockets,
Well, let me
and
finish this.
providing an economic environment where we can create wealth for
That's
this
right. Now let me go to
country.
Mr. Parker and see if he's got an opinion on
And
the...
ask him about the leadership of the Labor Party being rolled this week. That'll be
I'm
the
going to.
slideshow.
I'm going to. On the Kim.com, Shearer says stand down. What do you think?
Yeah, he should stand down. Look, this is serious. The police should look at it. It's another sideshow from what the government should be focusing on. I do agree with John Banks on that, but unfortunately for him, he's centre stage now, and he should be standing aside so that it is not the sideshow, and the government can get on with managing the economy.
What about though he mentions the leadership? I mean, you have His Eminence Christopher Trotter. He's saying he made the wrong decision when he backed Kim, not Kim.com, David Shearer. Is there real faith? Can you speak honestly? I mean, is there faith in David Shearer's leadership?
Yes, there is. Look, David Shearer is a courageous man. He's a good leader. And I believe, and I actually think a lot of New Zealanders know that we're lucky to have him in politics. There is no leadership coup. There has been no leadership coup rumours other than in blogs. And, of course, it suits our political opponents to rug them up.
No, but you must hear the talk. There's a feeling that the man's got no mongrel. There's not enough mongrel.
I disagree. David Shearer comes from a background where he's been dealing with mongrels all his life, and he puts them down when he has to. You don't have to be a pit bull terrier to be the Prime Minister. You do have to be strong and courageous.
What you didn't say.
And you don't have to wear the guns on the outside.
No, what you didn't say is what Mr. Trotter, one of the great apologists for the left in this country, he said, quote, the David Shearer leadership is an, quote, unfortunate experiment. The sideshow next week won't be me. The sideshow next week will be this joker and his mates rolling David Shearer.
Now, look, if you
I'll
want me to get
give you a quick word on the economy. That $1 billion hole is most uncomfortable. What can we do about it?
Start saving some money, getting rid of
Who saves the money?
Look, Bill English is making a good fist of bringing a budget together at the crossroads. We've got to take some tough decisions around spending. This outfit over here wants to spend more, want to borrow more, want to tax more, and want to mortgage our grandchildren to the hog.
He's dead right. I mean, interest-free student loans are a
Well, for a
scandal.
start, I don't take fiscal advice from John Banks, who in the last 3
You
years
should,
has
because he gets money
well, he might get money from Kim.com, but when he was mayor, he tripled council debt in his last 3 years. So we need to grow the economy. The government's focused on asset sales. That doesn't grow the economy. Changing who owns what already exists does not grow the output of economy. We need to invest in research and development, science and education. We need to get people going in deeper savings.
Thank you. We have to leave it there. And I can't believe when you went in a helicopter, you can't remember whether you went in a helicopter or not.
I don't believe that either.
That's good. That's in my opinion. If I put
You've
it
been in
down.
a helicopter with me.
I have.
I taught you to fly.
Yes, you did. Still to come on the program.